All right, so this is our 1.6 lesson from today. So we were talking about pairs and angles. So the first type of angle we talked about was complementary angles, and those are two angles that add to 90. So I gave you like two separate angles that were 25 and 65. It could also look like a straight 90-degree angle that's being just like broken up into two angles too. Those would be two complementary angles. Supplementary are two angles that add to 180. So 150 and 90. Remember I told you in class, the way I remember this is I make a C and I make an S. The C can be made into a 9 to be a 90. The S can finish to make an 8 to be 180. And that's how I remember supplementary means 180. Complementary means adds to 90. We also talked about adjacent angles, and adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other, so they have to share a side. So like this first set right here, those are not adjacent angles, okay, because they don't share a side. However, 1 and 2 are. Remember, I used the example of my room being adjacent to Miss Hodges. We share a wall. I'm not adjacent to Mr. Rush because we don't share a wall, okay? So a linear pair is a pair of angles that form a line. So you have 1 and 2. Over here, the one I crossed out, that's not a linear pair because there are 3 angles that form a line. We also talked about vertical angles. Vertical angles are two angles who form opposite rays. Basically, they have to form an X, and it's the ones that are opposite of each other. So here, like 1 and 2 are vertical, 3 and 4 are vertical. Okay, so we did an example where we identified pairs of angles. So we looked through, we did complementary. So we decided that this 37 degree over here and this 53 degree were complementary. We decided that the two purple angles were supplementary. So CAB, or CAD and RST. And then finally, we found that adjacent angles are the two dark gray ones. So CAB and CAD. Okay. So we worked an example where it told me the two angles were supplements. It told me angle 1 is 62. All I have to do is take 90 minus 62 to find the remaining one. The supplementary one is very similar, okay? This is not an example I did in class today, but I'm going to go ahead and work it. So it tells me these are two complementary angles. It says find the measures of the two angles when one of them is 4x minus 2 and the other one is 9x plus 1. So if I know they're complementary, then that means I could take 4x minus 2 plus 9x plus 1 and set it equal to 90 degrees. Combine your like terms and you get 13x minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1 equals 90. You add your 1 over and you get 13x equals 91. Divide by 13, so x is 7. That doesn't answer the question, however. You do need to go in and plug them back in. So LM in, I take 4 times 7 minus 2. Well, that gives me 28. 28 minus 2 is 26 degrees. So that tells me this angle is 26 degrees. If I want the other one, I take 90 minus 26, and that gives me 64 degrees. And that's what's left for the other one. We skipped all this random stuff. We did an identifying pair of angles. We identified two pairs of linear pairs. So there's that dark blue there, that these are a linear pair. Also, so 1 and 5 and then 4 and 5. Okay, those are linear pairs. When we did vertical angles, the linear pairs created two crossbars. So then that means either these are vertical, but it has to be one set. And see, up here we have two sets, so those can't be vertical. So then it could only be 1 and 4. And that was the lesson today. If you have questions, let me know. We did page 52 and 53, 3 through 18.